What up, everybody? Ed here, Metrolina Martial Arts. Not Metrolina, not Metrolina, Metrolina Martial Arts. It's important. Okay, so real quick, I'm here with my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu professor, Professor JD, but I'm gonna ignore his qualifications in Jiu-Jitsu because they're not relevant here. It doesn't matter that we're at the Carlos Machado Jiu-Jitsu Association on this beautiful several thousand square foot mass space. We're gonna ignore all of that, okay? We're gonna go on to your Aikido background.
So Sensei JD.
Sensei JD.
Hi.
Or, as we should actually do, JD Sensei.
Okay.
There are wrist locks in Jeet Kune Do, believe it or not. Now, Sifu Larry Hartzell, who was good friends with our Sifu Ron Balicki,
okay,
and was my first Sifu, Scott Shields' instructor. He was a native Charlottean. He had one of the only Jeet Kune Do schools, the only Jeet Kune Do school outside of California in the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in Charlotte on Central Avenue. Super. I used to live like 2 blocks from it. Obviously.
Have you been there?
No, it's a porn shop now. But he has a wrist lock flow, and I'll post a link in the description. Scott Shields, my old Sifu, rest in peace, he taught the lock flow perfectly.
We'll start with this. This is just the lock flow, just as to build the base, after which you just let it go and let it flow. So we're starting, number 1 is here, an outer palm lock. Keep it tight. I'll extend it a little bit so the video can see, but normally you would be in here, okay? Number 2, rotate here into this lock.
But you can watch that video, and he teaches that flow in its entirety from what I learned from him, Sifu Scott Shields, back in like 2009.
There was 16, right?
There was like 16 of them.
Okay.
I know the first 2. Kote Gaeshi.
Kotegashi, yep.
And Nikkyo.
Nikkyo.
But he teaches here. There's also here and here, right?
Tons of them, yeah.
There's tons of variations, but so you have Kote Gaeshi, which means what?
Wrist turnout.
Wrist turnout, and then Nikkyo.
Nikkyo, second teaching or second principle.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, okay, I have some footage of us rolling.
Yeah.
I go for wrist locks perpetually.
He does.
So let's have that as a caveat.
Okay, so Aikido, I believe, does work, but it works in context, like all of this stuff. So we were just doing a Jeet Kune Do video for my channel, and you were saying, hey, you got to throw jab cross because you're not going to catch that stuff off of the jab.
Yeah.
It's the same.
It's really close. Did you see that?
You are not going to get your wrist locks off of a jab.
No.
You're probably not going to get them off of jab cross unless you get them committed. So if we were to play around with like jab crosses or whatever, and so...
How dare you?
If I can piss you off to where you get mad,
I don't like that.
there's a time.
Okay.
But if there's no commitment,
I want to. He slapped me, and that's on. That's on. That's
whatever.
On
there's a video you hitting me with a stick.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Bang. Woo! Out of my way.
You're not gonna get it, and I pulled it off a jab because he was slowing down, but
because you were slapping me.
You are not gonna get it unless, and if you think, and again I would say, I like Sensei Steven Seagal, or Steven Seagal Sensei.
Yeah. Seagal Sensei.
But I like the old stuff. I don't care for anything of the new era because I think it's kind of But if you watch the old videos, he's constantly pissing people off.
Yeah.
And so by doing that,
yeah,
I think it gets that wind up of, and now you can do stuff.
That's cool.
And so, like in Kotegashi, yes, we're teaching it.
Let's do this hand
here. Okay, that is not how it's going to be done, though. So when he throws that punch, I take it here, and that's where it happens.
That's cool.
I get your momentum to spin,
yeah,
and then I redirect it the other direction.
Right, and you know, I don't know if you watched on Jesse Encamp's The Karate Nerds.
Oh, that was great.
Recent video was with Steven Seagal Sensei. It was great.
It was awesome.
Like you could see there's a lot into that person he's been mistreated in the popular media these days, and whatever you think about Steven Seagal, leave it in the comments.
That'll be great.
I'll respond to all of them. You can see me in the comments. I'll be like, neat. But is I think people are looking at how it's trained, and then something got lost
Yes.
right? Like, I think, well, how many generations are you from the founder of Aikido in terms of your lineage?
I have no idea.
Right.
I can't actually prove it. The best I can tell you is, so my instructor, Sensei AJ. Sensei AJ is under Sensei Joe McRae. Joe McRae is under Sensei Falk.
Oh, okay, we have a mutual friend.
Sensei Falk,
Charles Falk.
did
Falk.
his training under a guy named Amos Hunter, Sensei Amos Hunter, and his black belt came from a board in Japan.
Yeah, so those were all very Western sounding names.
Yeah, a lot of, well, we were all military.
Oh, okay.
So we all, like, I was in Japan for 6 years.
Yeah, that's right. You were in Yokohama?
I was at Yokota Air Base.
Yokota,
And
okay.
so Husa City. And AJ was there, and Charles was there.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
Joe McRae was there. So we all were stationed there. Now, I did train off base as well.
Yeah.
I spent about a year and a half at a school in Daito. And so the difference was, so we do a move called kokinage.
Okay.
And so, same concept. So if I can get you to throw that cross, so if we switch back to our left lead, so when you throw jab cross,
Okay,
so
so
if I go boom,
jab.
I take this here and I take you around.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Here we go.
In traditional Aikido, they had me touch your cheek,
Uh-huh.
and I would spin around, and then I'd go whoop. And when I did that with your cheek, you'd fall down.
Okay.
And I didn't get it to work.
It seems very gentle.
Oh, it's so gentle.
Yeah.
And it's like, so whatever. So then in combative Aikido under AJ,
Combative Aikido.
yeah, that's what we called it because it was more realistic. And then, so boom, I catch you here, and now, boom,
Oh,
and I capture that muscle there.
that's neat.
And then I did this in this class. And I kid you not, the mats were probably almost as big, like the black section here
Yeah.
was how big our floor was, or pretty close.
That's big. That's a big man.
Maybe not as wide, but definitely as long. And I hit this guy to the ground, and it was like, woof, and the whole class stopped to look, and
Yeah.
I didn't think nothing of it. I'm just going about my merry way, doing it again.
Yeah.
And the instructor was like, "Oh, son, like, what are you doing?"
Nani yattende yo?
And I was like, "Kokinage." And he's like, he said again, and
Moikai.
I forgot. Yeah, okay. I was like, I forgot the word now because I haven't been in Japan in like a decade.
Did you use my degree?
And so I did it again, and he's like, "You're way too aggressive." He's like, and then he taught me his version. And then every time I did it, especially back on base, people they would just roll away.
Yeah.
Like, that's not gonna work.
Right.
And so I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
First of all, you're trying to use Aikido in an MMA setting.
Sure. That's definitely not going to work.
Totally not the same case.
Yeah.
Second thing, you're probably not getting someone to really get boom.
Yeah.
Like, if you just play your boxing game,
Sure.
I'm not gonna pull this off right away.
Yeah. You're not
Like,
going to.
I gotta do stuff to piss you off. Hey, you know, whoa. And then as soon as you decide something, then that's when I can pull my moves off.
Oh, okay.
So
You slapped me a lot in this video.
I did. That's great. So good. But that's the idea, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I've seen some channels, Practical Aikido or whatever, and I see they do take it from a different aspect. But I think people don't realize, hey, you have to get that commitment, or it's not going to work.
Sure.
And so if we're just jab crossing, or maybe you're trying with boxing gloves on,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
No.
And somebody
Or
actually
MMA
asked me,
gloves,
like, hey, can you spar Icy Mike and see if you can pull any of this off? And I'm like, that's going to be tough because we'd have to go MMA gloves, and then I got to get him to commit.
Yeah.
And first of all, I don't know if we're going to spar that hardcore, but I got to get him to like throw a couple things that are just going to have that either the haymaker feel, or they're going to at least be a little bit stretched. But I think from a self-defense or a street fighting standpoint,
That's what I was about to say. Like, you can get that from
I think you could
a scrub.
get somebody who's like, I'm going to knock you out, sucker.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
Yeah. So you know, building upon that, right? If you get a rando to do a haymaker and you catch a particular move,
Right.
you know, when you do the wrist lock to them, like when you wrist lock a rando,
Yeah.
what happens?
So what I did for my school at brown belt level is I would bring in people from other programs and make them spar.
Oh, okay.
So the Aikidoist, or
Yeah.
the Aikido-ka, had to roll or spar with jiu-jitsu guys,
Yeah.
Kali guys, and
okay.
kickboxers,
Yeah.
and had to figure it out because in Aikido we're taught to roll and break fall a certain way.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of cooperativity.
Yes.
And I'm like, these guys don't know that.
Right.
So it kind of breaks down into your most core moves.
Yeah.
And I like learned it myself. Sankyo is like my go-to.
What is Sankyo?
Sankyo is when I take you here and I get you here.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
And so again, you get someone where you kind of get that haymaker and
Yeah.
you just all of a sudden like, and you got 'em.
Okay. That was cool.
And then you can throw them or you can.
Yeah, what happened? What do they do?
So the traditional people don't know how to fall properly.
Yeah, I was gonna say they probably don't have any idea
So
how to
if
fall.
there's only one, then I just kind of get rid of you, buy myself some time
Okay.
to re-engage.
Or run away or
And
whatever.
if I
the
get
self-defense
multiple,
situation
then as I secure you, I
Yeah.
keep you like, so I'll use the camera, I'll keep you in bay.
Oh, okay.
And so this, like, and you have this in your flow from what I saw.
Yeah.
You're here and you're doing different things.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, now lock it here.
Yeah.
Now lock it here. It's all the same move.
Yeah.
But all I want you to do is what we call the pee-pee dance. So
Yeah,
if you
'cause I'm
look at
like-
Ed's toes.
Yeah, I was dancing.
Okay. He doesn't care right now.
No, because
But I'm gonna corkscrew his arm up and back. So now he's pee-pee dancing.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna release a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
but
you're
here's what I like, and be ready to tap.
Okay.
So I didn't do it yet.
Oh, sorry, I was nervous.
So I get Ed here.
Yeah.
So punch me.
I don't.
Punch me.
Okay.
I just apply a little more pressure.
Yeah. So. Aha.
And I didn't know you were gonna keep going. I was
I'm
talking
sorry.
to the camera.
Yeah.
So okay, so if I'm here, I'm ready. So
Yeah.
go ahead, punch me. And I'm trying to release it as fast as I humanly
Yeah.
can.
No, you're doing good.
And
This
then-
wrist is a strong wrist.
Okay.
This wrist is not.
So now.
Like you could like break my wrist and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So from understanding, and you can't test this.
Going back to my previous video with eye gouging and groin shots, right? You can't really test it
Right.
in a safe where
I
JD comes
understand.
back.
This will separate, or this will separate.
Yeah.
Whatever one is technically weaker on that person.
I wonder if it was added, post, Sijo Bruce's life by Larry Hartzell, since he was kind of the Jun Fan Kung Fu grappling guy. So I'm curious, where it was, but I'm sure there are wrist locks that Bruce was researching.
There had to be.
But it's probably one of those things with his grappling, which was pretty non-contested. So it's probably somewhere in there where you would do certain locks and then just let them go, non-contesting. Like Guru Dan said, they would do certain lock flows essentially, or like a submission flow. Like let's say I do a double leg takedown, I pass your guard, you turn the turtle, I get the bulldog choke, and then you tap and I let go.
Right.
You don't contest any of that flow.
Right.
So it's probably within there. We got to look in the Tao
And
of Jeet Kune Do.
looking at, I have followed Bruce Lee my entire life, and I have umpteen books,
Yeah.
and so many of the magazines and stuff. And looking at how he stole and used from everything,
Sure.
he had to have.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Whether he said this is going to be written down in my system.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the Tao, as we understand it, is just pieces.
It's just notes.
Of a lot larger volume thing. From
Yeah.
what I understand, Inosanto has like a 13 volume collection of all of that.
Yeah. And there's like
It
a
could be
special,
in some of those.
Yeah, and so probably I guess what I'm really getting at here is that there might be wrist locks in your Jeet Kune Do, there might be wrist locks in your Jeet Kune Do, there might be some in mine, but not in
Everyone's.
everyone's, and that's okay. I think they have their place. I think they work well in a law enforcement balancing type situation when you have to make a connection with somebody.
Right.
I know I prefaced the caveat that I do a lot of wrist locks in my grappling. They work there. Because you're locking a person down, even if you're on the top or the bottom, you have them. They're there. They're available.
And they happen all the time on accident too. People's wrists get caught and they're like, "Oh, you got me."
Yeah. I've done it where I'm moving my own hand and all of a sudden oh, I wrist locked myself. I
Yeah.
did that actually recently I was trying to bridge somebody.
Well, we
Like,
just watched the Roy Dean test and he got a wrist lock in his black belt test.
Oh, he did.
Fourth
Yeah,
degree.
yeah, he did. So, wrist locks do work. Whether or not they're part of JKD is an interesting question. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that video, especially if you're new. Hit the bell notification so you never miss my or any other handsome face I have on the channel. Of course, like the video for the algorithm.
Wait, I could do this now.
Yeah, I like the video for the algorithm, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Party on.